Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kyle Downey, and this is Sports Download, the show where a Los Angeles native talks sports from a fan's perspective. I might not be unbiased, but I keep it honest and real with you. So I want to talk about a lot today. Talk about some NBA free agency. The Lakers signed some new guys, kept some same guys from last year. I want to talk about NBA Summer League, NBA, the cap, and the salary cap, some of the changes that are happening, and NBA trades. Talk some WNBA, some LA Sparks, of course. Got a Dodgers update, and there's also an NFL story that I want to talk about that's not being talked about a lot. So, first off, I want to mention that I was listening to Locked On Lakers, the Lakers podcast with Andy and Brian Kamenetsky, and they had Mike Garcia, who's at Canyon Driver on Twitter. And Mike Garcia covers the NBA draft, and he's a Lakers fan, so he covers like who the Lakers are going to draft as well. And he was talking about all the guys that the Lakers drafted and who they signed to two-way contracts as well. And one of the guys that I think is on a two-way contract, Alex Fudge. He said he's a great athlete. He blocks shots at the rim. He even goes up and tries to block 7-foot guys at 6'8". He dunks on 7-footers, and Mike Garcia said he's looking forward to seeing a lot of Summer League highlights. He forces turnovers, pushes the ball down the court, has tremendous leaping ability, and he's hopeful that he could have be a defensive player and have a high motor like Alex Caruso, Gary Payton II, David Nwaba, transition finishers like those players. And he mentioned those specifically because those are players that have gone through the Lakers development system and turned out to be good role players, good NBA players, or even great defensive players in the case of Alex Caruso and at times Gary Payton II. So I just wanted to mention that nugget. So I haven't talked to y'all in a minute. It's been a little while. Hope everybody had a great holiday week, I guess. It was on a Tuesday. It's weird. Hope everybody had a good Independence Day. So NBA free agency, it's been really different this year because of the salary cap changes coming with the CBA. With it being more strict, it seemed like a lot of teams are nervous to trade role players, and really the free agency market is kind of dry. But it's interesting because it's not a huge free agency class. Also, there's not a lot of superstars. So there was one, Kyrie, but he signed in Dallas like we all knew, and Harden, but he just kind of opted in, and we're waiting for him to trade. And so it's really with the trades, the free agents are not really superstars. There's a lot of great role players, but still, so it's really different this year, and teams are like scared and they're not doing a lot of trades. I mean, the only teams that are really going over the cap, it seems like, are the Suns, and maybe the Warriors might touch that second apron, but the Suns definitely are with their three guys, with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker making all that money. Excuse me. So I want to talk about the Lakers. Let's start off because it's a Los Angeles fan based show. So I want to start off with the Lakers. I really like the Lakers offseason, and I even heard Bobby Marks, who is a former front office guy who works for ESPN. I heard him on Zach Lowe's podcast, which is an excellent podcast. I recommend it if y'all haven't listened to it. But I heard him give them an A plus, actually. So Bobby Marks gave the Lakers an A plus, and I tend to agree. You know, they did as well as they possibly could have. They could have kept Mo Bamba and Malik Beasley at their original numbers, at their original cap holds, and they could have held on to them and kept them on to see if Malik Beasley would play better. or if Mo Bamba would play better, and if not, they could potentially have used them in a trade and attach the 2029 draft pick. And people have been giving my guy Anthony Irwin some trouble, some problems on Twitter for this. I understand that concept, but I'm always the guy. I'm always somebody who's saying that you shouldn't let shouldn't let guys walk that you don't want to lose them for nothing, and you want to be able to get something in return. But it seems like it worked out right now, and I heard Andy Kamenetsky had a good point on the Lockdown Lakers pod where he's saying that they got that's potential. Potentially they could have got a guy for Mo Bamba and Malik Beasley potentially, but then maybe they wouldn't have gotten better right now. And yes, if they need to make a trade or want to make a trade, there would possibly be some rotation guys that they would have to trade or something like that. But it doesn't seem, if you look at it, Beasley signed for the minimum with Milwaukee, and Mo Bamba signed for I think about the minimum, if not above, with the Sixers. So the market was not out there. I don't know if there would have been anybody that, an expiring contract does have value in the league, but I don't know who would have wanted to trade for. It's possible. We saw John Collins go for like not much. He went for like I don't know, a couple second round picks. It wasn't a lot at all. Maybe a couple players. But Malik Beasley and Mo Bamba did not have that much value as in players. Maybe in expiring contracts, maybe. But I do like the guys that they signed, and let's go ahead and get into those. So they signed Taurean Prince, who was waived by Minnesota, and some people were waived, it seems like, because of this new CBA, because of the cap restrictions, and people don't want to go into that second apron of the tax. So Taurean Prince, nice 3-and-D player. He's a small forward. He can play 3-4, a little bit of 4. I really like it, and the number is a good number at $4.5 million. He's a solid defensive player, but he's a career 37% 3-point shooter, and that's perfect. You need a 3-and-D guy as a perfect signing to play with LeBron and AD, somebody who could help stretch the floor and give LeBron and AD some space to go attack the basket and be able to live in the paint offensively. So I really like that signing. They also signed, and most of these that I'm going to mention have become official as I'm recording right now. I'll check right now, but as I'm recording here, 6 p.m. Pacific time, July 6th, most of these have become official. So Taurean Prince is official. Gabe Vincent is official. He's a small guard, but he's tenacious point of attack defender. Seemed like a pretty good defender. We saw him play for the Heat against the Nuggets in the finals, and this playoffs his numbers really shot up. He's not a good 3-point shooter in the regular season, but in the playoffs this year and in the playoffs last year in the playoffs, he wasn't great, but his number over the last two playoff seasons, his shooting numbers go up, which is a great sign. So, and his shot looks good. So if he shoots like 33% or 34% during the regular season, but in the playoffs this year, his 3-point shot went way up, and he was hitting a lot of shots. So I really like that signing. He's a great guard to play with LeBron. Let's go ahead. Let's check those numbers real quick. He's a great guard to play with LeBron, though, because he can handle the ball. He can run pick and roll a little bit, and he could be either start next to Austin Reeves, or he could come off the bench. So I really like that signing, and plus it's cool. He's a California guy, born in Modesto, went to UC Santa Barbara, Went to high school in Stockton, California, which is kind of up north. But I mean, that's cool for him. Gets to be closer to his family. So let's check his career numbers real quick. Career regular season, he's like a 34% 3-point shooter. And then in the playoffs, he's shot 50% in 2021, 50%, 31% dip in 2022, 38%. I'm rounding up to 38% this last postseason. So, I mean, that's incredible, though. Let's see his regular season. That's an incredible jump. 33%. Yeah, 33% this regular season. His highest regular season was 2 seasons ago. It was in 2022. He was 36.8. This last season, though, he's 33.4, and he shoots up to 38% in the playoffs this year. So, if he can continue to improve his 3-point shot, that makes me feel even better about the signing. And 3 years, $33 million, 11 million a year average. That's a pretty good number, and he's essentially a Dennis Schroeder replacement. And I've seen multiple people go back and forth about this. I think he's a little bit better than Dennis Schroeder because his shot doesn't take as long. Dennis Schroeder has his shot. It takes a little bit for him to get up, and I love Dennis Schroeder for what he did for us, the 2 separate seasons that he played for us, and he had a really good year this year, but he was not shooting well. Other than some good moments like the play-in game against Minnesota, he does not make threes. Defenders let him shoot those threes. So I think with Gabe Vincent, they're going to be hesitant to want to leave him open. And with LeBron getting attention, having to be double teamed, AD having to be double teamed sometimes, they're not going to want to leave those guys alone. So there's a chance that Gabe Vincent gets more open shots, and then therefore he would be able to hit more of his threes and have a higher percentage. And if he's able to improve in the playoffs, the regular season matters, I believe still, obviously. The league doesn't always treat it like that, but if he's able to improve in the playoffs, then that's awesome. That's what you love to see. I mean, like his teammate last year, Jimmy Butler, he had like an okay regular season, decent regular season, but then he's playoff Jimmy in the playoffs. So if playoff Gabe is a real thing, or even if he can just keep the shooting up and shoot 35, 36 this year, that would really help. If he'd get up to 37, even better. But I really like the signing, and he seems like, by all accounts, everything I've heard about him, seems like a good dude. Worked hard to get where he's at, and good for him. He's got a nice contract, and welcome to the Lake Show for Mr. Gabe Vincent. The next guy I want to talk about is kind of in order. I'm going to go in order of kind of how the signings happened and how they trickled down last week. They re-signed Rui Hachimura, which I love. My priority, I was saying, was got to re-sign Austin Reeves, got to re-sign Rui, and then we'll see what we can do from then on. So they re-signed Rui. Rui gets a pretty good contract, gets a nice raise for himself. 3 years, $51 million, and that's pretty good value if he can continue on the trajectory that he was on. He had a decent regular season, but I mean, I don't really know. I don't really know how it was going on in Washington. He had a lot of issues with Washington. There was a time where he had to step away, take a mental health break, and the Wizards, I don't want to say anything bad about them, but it's a different type of team where they just kind of middle in mediocrity, and so he was able to come to the Lakers where they had a purpose. They wanted to win. They wanted to go deep in the playoffs, and he comes and he works with Coach Phil Handy, who's an incredible development coach, and he's in LeBron's ear asking him questions, and LeBron's tutoring him, and AD and everybody in the Lakers organization is helping him along, and we saw it in the playoffs. He was he was hitting threes at a crazy number and just playing tough defense. It was hard for him to play in the Golden State series because he's a bigger dude and he's pretty fast. He's pretty light on his feet for like a solid dude the way he's built. But it's hard to chase around Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and all those guys off all those screens. But he looked really good. He looked incredible against the Grizzlies, and then he looked pretty good in moments against the Nuggets. That it was a sweep. It was a close sweep, but it was a sweep nonetheless. But it was close, and he had some good moments. So happy to have Rui back. He seems like a good dude. Really happy for him. He kind of spoke it into existence to be a Laker, and here he is a Laker. When he was at Gonzaga, he was telling his teammate at Gonzaga was what's his name up in Sacramento. Domantas Sabonis, excuse me. Domantas Sabonis was his, and Sabonis tells a story about how they played like a college game at Staples back then. It was Staples Center in LA, and he's like, this feels like home and I want to play here. And that's just wonderful, and it helps, he's got family in Japan, and that's a shorter flight to Japan from LA. So good for him by all accounts. Excuse me. On all accounts, good for him. For him, I would just say, stay in the gym, keep working this summer, and if he could shoot anything close to what he was shooting in the playoffs, I mean, obviously he's not going to shoot 80% from three like it was almost 80%. No, it wasn't 80, but that's an exaggeration. But it was really high. He's not going to shoot 60% from three or whatever crazy number it was. But if he can shoot league average or even better than that, if he can be somewhere between 36 and 40% from three, on top of playing tough defense, he might be able to be a starter, or if not, sometimes start, sometimes come off the bench. His ability to score, and the way he can use his body to play defense as a solid dude and a solid defender. They didn't know that about him in the Wizards. Like, Wizards fans are like, what? He can play defense? And he was looking really good. So shout out to Phil Handy, shout out to the Lakers staff, and shout out to Rui for putting in the work. And it definitely did dividends for him. So really excited for Rui, really excited to have him back. Yeah, it's really great. I'm loving that. And he can shoot the mid-range too. I want to say real quick, he can shoot the mid-range, which is kind of a dying art for him in the age of analytics. And if he can pull up a mid-range, because I'm a huge just get a bucket guy. You know what I mean? Not that I value getting a bucket over anything else, but just get a bucket. If the three isn't going, get it in for a layup, get it, set up a short shot for a dunk, set up a dunk, or come off set up a play, come off a screen, hit the mid range. It's a dying art for him, and I just think that's great to have in his bag, and I'm happy to have him back, and good for him getting the bag. Next guy that came out was Cam Reddish. Now Cam Reddish is kind of a project. This is finally coming to fruition. He's been in trade rumors for the Lakers to get him for a long time, and this is a low risk, high reward type signing. He hasn't looked like a good NBA player. He has the tools. He's a wing. He's like 6'7", 6'8", long wingspan. If he can play solid defense and hit some threes occasionally, that would be good. But I think he's gonna be fighting for this rotation. He's gonna be a back of the bench guy, at least early on, unless he proves something in training camp. Because obviously you got LeBron, you got Rui, you got Vando, and now you got Taurean Prince. So that's your front court, and then maybe Cam Reddish can crack that rotation. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's low risk, high reward type signing, If he pops, great. If not, he signed for the veterans minimum, so it's no sweating it. And I will say that I've heard that he was looking better towards the end of the year on Portland, but also Portland was tanking and was on the down turn after like Dame was hurt and all that stuff. So we'll have to see about that, but take a flyer on the guy, gives us another wing. That's it's all good. Um, next guy that came out that signed, and he's also official today, is Jackson Hayes. So Jackson Hayes has been with New Orleans for, I think, 4 seasons now, and I heard the cycle has gone like this. Oh, he looks good in the summer. Let's get him some minutes. He looks good in training camp. Let's get him some minutes. He gets those minutes, and then he has to go back to the bench because he's not looking good. I want to start with the on-court and then have to, unfortunately, mention some off-court stuff. So, on-court, he's a high-energy big. He's about 7 foot, sort of like a slight frame. He's a center, so he'd be like a backup for AD. He can jump out of the gym. He can dunk on guys. He was sometimes trying to shoot corner threes, but he's not a good three-point shooter. But I did hear on Locked On Lakers, one of the Locked On hosts from Locked On Pelicans was saying that his shooting stroke did look nice. And then sometimes the ball was going in. So if he could develop that, become a stretch big, that would be even better. But I think, and I just want to talk on court right now, I think that he's going to be like the third big. Right now, he's the backup center. That's something that I want to go into a little bit, is that the Lakers, I guess I could just say now, the Lakers are still reportedly looking for another big. Mo Bamba has signed, as I said, with the Sixers, and they're interested in, I think, Bismack Biyombo. They're interested in, they were interested in the Plumlee brother that signed with the Clips, but he's, like I said, he signed with the Clips. So, and then they're also interested in Christian Wood. And Christian Wood, I remember wanting to get him. It would be great. I think it would be good if we got him, because he could be a good backup big to 80 and sometimes play with him, because he's got great offensive ability. He could score. He could shoot the three. Excuse me. He can shoot the three, but he's a terrible defender. So hopefully Phil Handy could work his magic and get him to at least compete on defense. And the coaching staff, Darvin Ham, he's not going to let anybody play who's on the roster if they don't play defense, unless you're outstanding, incredible offensively. So if he can just compete on the defensive end, use his size, I think Christian Wood would be a good signing. But as of right now, the Lakers are looking for a big. So as of right now, Jackson Hayes would be that backup big. And I think he's kind of a guy that we're taking a flyer on. So that's not a great look. So I'd love it if we could get Christian Wood or Bismack Biyombo, because Bismack Biyombo would be great on the glass, and he's a great defensive player. Not much offense at all other than dunks. But for a backup big, you're not. And centers are valuable, but we're looking at a minimum guy signing. Centers are valuable, but they're not as valuable as they used to be, unless you're like Nikola Jokic or Anthony Davis or Joel Embiid. So yeah, that's what we're looking at with Jackson Hayes. Hopefully he can pop. Hopefully he comes in and is ready to work, and if he could be a functioning backup big, great. Or the third big, great. He does have some legal issues that are unfortunate, and I hope that he has learned from his lessons. This is not the first time the Lakers have hired or gotten a guy that has had a troubled past with the law or with just kind of inappropriate issues. So with Jackson Hayes, he's had some domestic violence some domestic violence cases, and I believe right now he's being sued by his ex-girlfriend for violence, which is terrible. And it's it's unfortunate. I believe in second chances, and it's obviously Jackson Hayes has messed up a couple times here, so hopefully he can keep his nose clean and stay out of trouble. Because I hope for him that he can become a better person and not be violent with women, and just be a law-abiding citizen and be respectful of women. It's unfortunate that we signed, and it's unfortunate. It is that there's people do these things. They're violent with women or with children, and it coincides with sports. So it's very unfortunate. I'd rather not have somebody on my team that had that issue, especially with a case pending. But I do believe in second chances, so hopefully he can rehab his image and stay clean. And stay clean is like, don't be violent. Don't be violent, and don't be beating up on women. I am 100% against that. So, but I did have to mention that part, because I try to be honest, and I'm not gonna shy away from stuff like that. Okay, there's no easy way to transition out of that, but the Lakers reportedly re-signed D'Angelo Russell to a 2-year deal, about 18 and a half. And what I heard from Anthony Irwin from the Lakers Lounge pod, I was listening to his pod, he said that it seemed like that his agent wanted to get him 20 a year, but the Lakers wanted a team option, and then so the agent didn't like that, so they compromised on like 18 and a half, 2-year, $37 million, with a player option. So that's a contract where he could be traded, because he's a pseudo expiring contract, and we'll see if that is what happens if he gets traded. I was not pleased. I like D'Angelo Russell. I'm glad that they brought him back, because the contract could be tradable. But I was not pleased with the way he was playing, and he wasn't making shots, and he wasn't playable in the Western Conference Finals and for certain parts of the playoffs. So, and that's bad. That's not ideal. That's not ideal. So hopefully he can. He always has good regular seasons, so hopefully he can have a good regular season. If he stays on the team, hopefully he can help us in the playoffs, help us win championship number 18. I would love it, because we drafted him originally. But if not, that's a contract that could be traded now at $18.5 million a year, and basically an expiring contract. But it would be somebody willing to take the player option. So we'll see what happens there. But happy to have him back, and let's go win some games. Let's go, D-Lo. And they re-signed Austin Reeves. That's right, they re-signed Austin Reeves. Unfortunately, because it was put out there so much by the Lakers behind the scenes, they were leaking, we're going to match any offer you make. We're going to match any offer. So nobody made any offer for Austin Reeves. So he didn't get the huge raise that would come in his second or third year. But he did get a really nice raise from like the veterans minimum to now making averaging 11.5 million a year or something like that. Pretty good for a guy that went undrafted and worked his tail off. He went undrafted on purpose, told the Lakers to draft him, or told the Lakers that to sign him. Impressed LeBron James in a training camp the season before, and then rose to almost not stardom, but for Hollywood, for LA. He rose to be an quality starting big, and who knows, if he keeps on this trajectory, it's possible that he could become an all-star. If he works on his handle and consistently can make the three, improve his defense, get stronger. And I've heard he's a psychopath when it comes to working on his craft, and that he's not gonna get satisfied with this paycheck. He's gonna want another contract. He's not gonna get satisfied with this accomplishments. He wants more. He wants to win. He's the type of guy that you want on your team. So good for him. Glad to have him back. They had to do that. They couldn't do the Caruso 2.0, let him go. So it sucks because Caruso was, I'm with my guy Anthony Irwin, where Caruso was so great defensively. They should have kept him. But I think with Austin Reeves, you can see what he does on both ends. He's decent defensively, but offensively, he's very good. And he has the potential to keep on improving and be a starter. He's already a starter in this league. Who knows? Maybe he could be an all-star. He definitely could get the votes. He definitely could get the votes since he's a Laker. That Laker all-star vote bump is going to be there next season. Just watch. And then one thing that went under the radar with the Lakers signings was they guaranteed Vando. They guaranteed Jared Vanderbilt's contract. It's a steal of a contract at about, I think, $5 million, something like that. 4.5 maybe, but they picked up his option. It was like, duh, like everybody knew, like everybody knew they were gonna re-sign Austin no matter what. Everybody knew they'd pick up Vando's option, and it's just such a steal of a contract. You know, Vando worked his tail off to be where he is, and he's an excellent versatile defender. We just needed for him to, and there was already video of him coming out of him working on things that he needed to, like catch and finish at the rim, catch and finish floaters. That's kind of what he's gonna get, shots like that. He's gonna get shots where LeBron sees him wide open in the dunker spot. There was sometimes offensively when LeBron tossed him the ball and it seemed like he wasn't ready. And so if he can be ready next year to just catch and finish, catch and go. And if I could get greedy, if maybe not his handle, if he could work on his handle a little bit, but I know he can go coast to coast a little bit. But if I can get greedy, if he could get that corner three, Vando, we'd be just with him improving and everybody improving, we'd be an incredible team. If Vando could hit the corner three, then keep him honest, provide great spacing, and that would be beautiful. Beautifully amazing. But glad to keep Vando, the Vandalorian. I like to just call him Vando. Love to keep him. He's amazing. And an interesting nugget that I noticed, actually noticed on somebody's avatar picture on Twitter, and then I looked it up. So the Lakers now have from the 2019 draft, we got the number eight pick at Jackson Hayes, number 9 pick was Rui, and the number 10 pick was Cam Reddish. So it's interesting. So from 2019 pick, we have 8, 9, and 10 all in a row. And that makes sense because Rob Pelinka has, since he's been in charge since he's been the head man of basketball operations, he likes guys that have a high pedigree, that were drafted high as high draft picks, that lottery picks, that there's a reason. And he also likes guys that can rehab their careers, and we've had a couple. They haven't always hit, but they've hit on Malik Monk. He just left last year to get a payday, and they kind of hit on Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker was a guy that got cut or just let go by the San Antonio Spurs, and he was a decent role player for us last year. And he had that game 4 against the Warriors where he helped us win. He went off in the fourth quarter. So hopefully, Rui's already shown, okay, he may not be a superstar, but he can be a high-quality role player, and he could be a starter on this team. So we'll see if Jackson Hayes can have a good year, or if Cam Reddish can have a good year. Great. If not, they're minimum guys. But just interesting that they all went 8, 9, and 10 in the 2019 draft. All right, and on to the NBA Summer Leagues going on. With the Lakers, I don't really care about if they win or lose in the Summer League. These games don't really matter. We don't hang Summer League championship banners. Sorry, Sacramento. We don't do that. But so I would look at how these guys are doing, how these rookies are doing, and also how Max Christie is doing, where Max Christie is a second-year player, Where Max Christie is a second-year player, so you want to see a second-year player make a jump, and you want to see him look like he's already played a year of professional ball, and that he looks different compared to these rookies that are completely raw. So let's see. So Max Christie in the first game when they played the Miami Heat. Christie had, what did he have? He had, where's these numbers? Christie had a decent game, 17 points, only 2 turnovers. He was handling the ball, had 4 assists, 6 rebounds. So a pretty good game. I mean, he hadn't really made all his free throws. He made 1 out of 3 3-pointers, not bad. It's his first ball since really January, February when he was with the big team. And he did play some games with I think he played a few games with the South Bay Lakers, but he hadn't played that much because we were in such win now mode, and they didn't want to just trust the rookie, even though he looked good in minutes that he played. So like to see Christie playing good like that. And then Cole Swider is an interesting guy who we know he can shoot the 3. He made 3 out of his 6 3-pointers. We know he can shoot that, so it's just like, can he play defense? Can he contribute anything else? He grabbed 5 rebounds. Like, can he add more facets to his game? He's only a 2-way guy, but who knows how things work out if he gets brought up as a minimum contract or something like that. And then on to Jalen Hood-Schifino, the number 17 pick that we drafted. He had a rough shooting night. 6 for 19. That's rough, but he kind of was, he looked like he was trying to figure it out, and he hadn't played ball since his college season just ended. So it's been a minute, but he looked like he was kind of just trying to find himself, but he was able to get into spots. And what people are noticing is that he's very strong, and he knows how to use his body to get to where he wants to go. And that's really great that he kind of has that self-awareness on offense. Let's see. So he made all his free throws. And obviously these numbers don't matter that much, but it's an interesting look to see. This is the first time we get to see these guys play, especially the rookies, before training camp and preseason rolls around. Jalen Hood-Schifino also, he had 1 steal, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. Was able to run the offense a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in Vegas. So they played 2 games up in Sacramento. So it'll be interesting what happens in Vegas if they say, oh, we've seen enough from Max Christie. He's a second-year guy. Let's get him rest, get him off the court so he doesn't get hurt. Kind of like what they did back in the day with Brandon Ingram and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting because if that happens, then that'll kind of give Hood-Schifino some time to really run the offense and have the ball more in his hands. Because once he gets up, if he's playing with the Lakers, he's not gonna be running the offense that much. He's gonna be getting. Obviously, there's going to be Austin Reeves running the offense, D'Angelo Russell running the offense, Gabe Vincent, and then LeBron's going to be running the offense, having the ball. So Schifino is not going to be, especially if he's in high leverage minutes, he's not going to be having the ball in his hands that much. So this will be great practice for him if they pull Christie and all right, that's enough, let's get you some rest. That benefits you there, and also gives Schifino some time to run the offense and have the ball. And then Castleton, people are really liking what they see from Castleton. So Colin Castleton, if the Lakers don't sign a big, then they could just take Castleton and keep him and turn his 2-way contract into a big boy contract if they so choose. People like that he seems very aware, and he has the same agent as Austin Reeves. He has the same agent as Austin Reeves, and he's just kind of aware on the court. He knows what to do. He had this nice dribble handoff play, I think, in the second game. So it'll be interesting because people really like him. I don't know. I mean, it's better to go with proven, but especially for a backup big, that's a huge responsibility to put on a 23-year-old that just got out of college. Oh, you're gonna go back up Anthony Davis, so he better have the chutzpah. He better have the heart like Austin Reeves and be ready to take that challenge because that's a significant role on a title contending team. So I don't know if I would choose that route. I would rather them sign a big like Christian Wood or Biyombo. But if they do that and they really like this guy and they trust, I mean, I do trust the Lakers development team. So if they really can get him to be in that spot, then he's a guy that we should be watching and seeing how he plays and how he looks in the summer league and when the preseason starts. Maxwell Lewis is the other guy we drafted out of Pepperdine. Let's look. He made 3 out of 4 free throws in that game. It was 1-3 he took. And then Fudge didn't play. Demoy Hodge, did he play? Demoy Hodge 1 out of 4 threes. That's not great, but again, summer league. So okay, and then let's move on to the next game, the next summer league game. Next summer league game was against the Spurs, where Victor Wembanyama is ducking the smoke of Castleton. Apparently, didn't want to play him. No, I'm just kidding. They're gonna be really careful with that dude. He's gonna play in Vegas. But so they played the Spurs. Max Christie had an even better game. He went 4 of 5 from 3, crazy, 80%. Made most of his free throws, 7 out of 8. Had 25 points, 1 block, 1 steal, 4 assists. And then let's see, Cole Swider had made both his free throws, 4 out of 7 3-pointers. Need that dude to just be shooting all his shots. Need to be threes. And then Castleton had a better game too. Castleton had 18 points and 7 personal fouls. So apparently you can have like 10 fouls in the summer league game, and so that's a lot of fouling. But he had 18 points, 4 blocks, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. That's a really good stat line for the bigs. See, so that fouling would be something I would watch, especially if this is a guy that they're going to peg to back up AD. So obviously we don't, as I'm recording right now on Thursday in the evening, we don't know yet who are they going to pick to be that backup big, because hopefully they find somebody else, because Jackson Hayes is a question mark right now. So, and then let's go down to, okay, next is Maxwell Lewis. Maxwell Lewis did not really contribute much. Didn't make any shots. Had a couple of blocks, which are great, and like 1 rebound. Let's see. Jalen Hood-Schifino, 20 points, 5 turnovers, 4 assists. So that's too many turnovers, but he's a rookie trying to get his bearings straight. 3 rebounds. Didn't get to the free throw line. Shot 1. Took 4 threes and missed all of them. So he's a guy that he's been talking about. He's been talking about how he needs to improve his 3. He's a guy that has been talking about. Jalen knows that he needs to improve the 3, and he knows that that's something that he needs to work on. So we'll have to check back in on the summer league when they head to Vegas. They're heading to Vegas, I think, this weekend. So we'll see those results, and I'll be watching those guys, seeing how Schifino's playing, seeing how Christie looks, seeing how Castleton can look, because he's interesting, and the other guys. Oh, let's see. Hodge got into this game real quick. He made 2 out of 4 threes. That's good. And Fudge had made 1 3. Let's see. Alex Fudge had 5 points. Hodge had 8 points. So yeah, I mean, some of these guys might not even play on the Lakers, a big squad, but Schifino might play some. Christie will definitely play. I've heard that Christie might be like the 7th or 8th man. So Christie is definitely one to watch. I like his game, and I think that Christie's also bulked up. So he's bulked up a little bit. He's gained like 10 pounds of muscle. So we're definitely gonna watch those guys. And Cole Swider, if we know that he can shoot threes, and he's played a little bit. He played a little bit with the Lakers last year, so we know that he can make threes. So we'll have to see if he comes up. And again, like I said, Castleton, if we don't sign another big, he might be our third center or second center, depending on how it works between him and Jackson Hayes. Okay, quick NBA salary cap nugget. I learned that the cap can go up 10% every year, and there's also a new TV deal coming soon. So even with this new CBA and all the restrictions, the cap is going to go up 10% this year, and it's going to go up 10% next year. So we'll see how that affects the Lakers. So far, it seems like the Lakers are a tax-paying team for the second year in a row, and there will be restrictions there, but they're not going to touch the second apron like a lot of teams, like most teams in the league. They're not going to touch the second apron, which is very, very challenging, very restricting. But they are going to be in that first apron, and they did hard cap themselves by signing Taurean Prince to a biannual exception. So those are quick notes on the salary cap as it pertains to the Lakers. So with the NBA trades, there have been some trades that have been proposed or have been like requested. Not much has happened though in the last week. Grant Williams got traded to the Mavs. I think that's a good pickup for them. The Mavericks have quietly had a decent offseason, besides keeping Kyrie Irving, who's let's just say a question mark as far as when he'll show up to work. But so they did retain him. They did trade some guys. And they just traded traded for Grant Williams. He's a good 3-and-D, kind of a 3-4 player. So they've had a pretty good offseason. Other than that, there's not really. Oh wait, what? There's big news. Oh yeah, Dame Lillard requested a trade. That's right. Damian Lillard did request a trade, but nothing has happened in 5 days except for a bunch of leaks about, oh, Dame only wants to go to Miami. They got to do right by him. Blah 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 blah. The thing is, I love Dame. Dame's done a lot for Portland. Dame is a great player, but they don't have to exactly just send him to Miami. They have to kind of work between themselves. They have to do what's right for the Trailblazers, and they have to do what's right for Dame. But they don't necessarily have to do exactly what Dame wants. I mean, Dame has been a great player, so I'm pretty sure they'll send him to Miami, but they don't have to. They have to both kind of operate in good faith, because Dame has been he's been a model superstar. He's been a great guy for them, and he's played 11 years. But they don't have to send him to Miami, but they probably will send him to Miami. And that hasn't broken yet. That's just kind of reading the tea leaves. That's kind of what's going to happen. Some quick notes. So Phoenix Mercury coach, they fired their head coach. It's kind of weird how that happened, but because they did have a winning season last year, but they fired their head coach this year. And the Sparks aren't doing great. They're on a losing streak. LA Sparks are on a losing streak right now. And they need to, if they want to stay in playoff contention, they need to do some work. So they have now dropped from last we talked, from second place to fourth place. So they're still there, but now they're 4 games behind, under 500, and that's not great. So got a lot of work to do. Got the All-Star game coming up in a week or so. So hopefully they can still be a playoff contender and stay in playoff contention. I want to shout out Rhyne Howard for dropping 43 points, career high, by the way. And her coach was like, oh, yeah, she's an all-star. And so she wasn't an all-star, but that's kind of been her best game so far. But, you know, it always happens with all-stars. There's always a snub, and there's always people that are right there, but they don't get in. But she's not an all-star this year, but great, heck of a player. 43 points. Quick Dodgers update. The Dodgers, they won yesterday, but they also lost a guy. They lost Daniel Hudson's got an MCL tear. It's really bad. Bad news. Hopefully, they think maybe he can play later on this year, but not sure. And that's a blow to the bullpen, because the bullpen needs help. So they're gonna have to trade for a starter or a reliever. They're gonna have to make some sort of trade happen at the trade deadline and get some starting help or get some relieving help. They need pitching depth bad. Kershaw's out on the IL. Urias came back, but Dustin May's still out. They got a lot of injuries, and they're still able to win with this offense, but that was a big blow, losing Hudson. So hopefully he can get healthy. I wish him the best. But the Dodgers are gonna have to make some trade. They're gonna have to make a trade and get some sort of pitching depth to help us out. And so to close out, I don't mean to close out on a bummer, but I did. So there's a story that what I talked about earlier. I kind of teased it. The story that not a lot of people are talking about is Tyreek Hill was arrested for allegedly assaulting a man. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I think so. He was arrested, but so what happened was, this is the story. So he got onto a private boat and then slapped a guy on the neck allegedly, and then allegedly offered him $200 or something for slapping him, and said, I can buy this whole boat and all that stuff. And the thing about this is that Tyreek Hill has had a history of violence. When he was in college, he choked and he pled guilty to choking and beating up his pregnant girlfriend. So as I said earlier, I believe in second chances. Hate to see this. Tyreek Hill has had a good career, but he obviously has a history of violence, and hopefully this is not true, but it's believable because of his violent history. So hopefully he can learn from this and not repeat the behavior. But it'll be interesting to see how the NFL disciplines him, because the NFL has historically been has fumbled it with the various domestic violence cases and the various violence cases, and they have not handled these situations in the best way, and they were criticized for it. So I'll keep an eye on this. I haven't seen this story being talked about a lot. You turn on ESPN, I haven't seen it. Turn it on the TV, I haven't seen it talked about a lot, which is strange. I saw it mentioned maybe once on ESPN, but hasn't been that. I mean, this happened last month in June 18th. So it's going to be interesting how it's handled and what goes on moving forward. Thank y'all so much for watching. Thank you so much. Please please subscribe, shoot a comment if you want to talk about anything. Just hit me up and tell your friend. Appreciate it. Peace, love, and God bless.